Hello everybody and welcome. Today we're working on a 2009 BMW 328i. It's a two-door coupe version, and specifically we're going to be working on the driver's master window switch, which sits in the driver's side armrest. Now this switch controls the two windows up and down. It also controls the folding mirrors and the power mirrors on both sides, and so you can adjust them up, down, left, right. It's June 2024 now, and back in January of 2024, uh, one of the buttons on the switch broke. And when I say broke, I mean the plastic actually broke. Uh, I believe that everything was still functional, but without that button attached to the switch, you couldn't move the passenger window up and down from the driver's seat. So I set about to rectify that. I looked online for a replacement switch, and a new one was somewhere between 150 and 200 bucks. And then I saw a variety of used ones cheaper than that. And finally, I also saw some really cheap new ones. Now, for the most part, I know better. I know that you don't get something for nothing, but I saw one on Amazon for 23 bucks, and I thought, I can't go wrong here. It's so cheap. Worst case scenario, I lose 23 bucks. Well, I didn't take into account wasted time. Uh, I got the switch, I installed it, and everything seemed to be working just fine. However, over time, uh, it started working intermittently. Uh, when we would start the car, it would temporarily disable that master switch at some point before we pulled out of the driveway. And that was kind of a pain because you get in the car, you want to roll down the windows because it's warm, you want to adjust the mirror because your wife was driving it, you want to fold out the mirrors. None of that was possible for somewhere between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. You just had to wait. It would always come back online, but it was annoying. So I set about then to figure out how to come up with a new solution. What I ended up doing was taking the old switch, which had a functional circuit board inside, and I mated it to the mechanical components of the new switch. So this video primarily is about removing the switch from the car, taking the switch apart. Actually, I'm taking two switches apart and swapping over the good circuit board into the new switch body with the good mechanical components. All right, well, let's jump in. All right, to get the switch out, the first thing that we're going to need to do is pull the trim, this trim strip right here. So I'm just going to use a plastic doodad, and this one, I've been in here before, it comes off pretty easily. Never really had many problems with it. All right, I repositioned the camera over to get a better look at the switch. So the strategy here is twofold. You want to get your fingers up under here, and to the extent that you can under here, and push. There's a tab here that you don't want to break. So you really would need to move the front of the switch first. So what I do is actually I press here, and then I jammed it. I get this non-marring dealy bob here, and I use this to pry up until I can get this all released. Eventually it pops out. It's kind of a pain, but it'll come free eventually. You pull this out, and there's a connector on the back. And what you do is there's this tab here. You fold that over, and it comes apart, and
you have your switch.
Now that I removed the one from the car, I've got the two side by side here on the bench. This is the one that was in the car now, which is the aftermarket switch that I bought on Amazon for 23 bucks. And this is the original BMW switch. Thank God I saved it. The problem with this switch originally was that the button broke off. There are two plastic pieces that are sitting in here that broke, and the button came apart from the main body of the switch. And of course, you can't fix that. You have to get a new switch. But as I mentioned earlier, this new switch is not doing a good job. So what we need to do first is take off this top plastic cover here, and it's held on with these clamping points here. So here, watch me try to struggle with this. It's no fun, but it comes apart eventually. You need to get your screwdriver in there, maybe. Actually, let's try this a different way. Let's come at it from another angle. Let's try to pop it up and then lift this first one off. Okay, got that one. Okay, there we go. We got two of them. Once you get two of them going, you're good. You're golden. Now we've got three. Come over here to the other side. See, this one's already been it's broken in the center, so it's going to be a little extra difficult to get off, but we'll still do it. Okay, there's 4, there's 5. Six. Okay, done with this. Let's set it aside. Here's the replacement switch from Amazon again. So I think what I want to do is take this switch apart, which has all of the good working mechanical functionality, and I want to take the circuit board out of the original BMW switch and see if I can put it into the aftermarket switch and see whether it will work better than what's in here now. So let's dig in. Let's start by taking apart the factory BMW switch. Now the first thing you want to do is we're going to remove some screws from the back, and just to make it easier, I'm going to magnetize my screwdriver. Let's magnetize my screwdriver to help me pulling these things out. All right, all 4 screws are out. Now we're going to take a little flathead screwdriver, and we've got these similar type of fasteners here where we've got to pry and lift and contort and swear. And probably again, once we get 2 going, we'll be okay. You can see here that somebody's been here before and already done a little bit of the heavy lifting for us because these parts are broken. Okay, Here's the one on the front. Get that off. All right, and here we go. What do we got? Okay, let's put this back. I think this was in here like that. We've got this piece here that is part of a switch. Put it over here like this for now. And we've got these buttons that are, these are part of the window raising and lowering mechanism. We've got a protective rubber shield with little contacts in it for connecting switches when you push on the buttons. And we've got the BMW circuit board. This says Alps on it. So here's what this all looks like. All right, now let's go after the aftermarket one. So again, first thing we're going to do is remove these 4 screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Using my screwdriver that is hopefully still magnetized. Seems like I should have had a story lined up for unscrewing screws, because the quiet is deafening. Birds singing are nice. All right, same thing. Got these 4 screws undone. We've got these same types of fittings here and here. There's 2 here and 2 here, and we've got to take those off. So, all right, wish me luck. Oh, wow, that one moved better. Okay, well, 1 off, 2 off. Maybe I'm gonna get lucky. Nope. 1, 2, 3. All right, 2 of these are off. Let's try not to take a step backwards. I'll leave this screwdriver behind for now. Let's try this one. Ugh. Man, you could make a whole video just about taking this dumb cover off. Hey, don't go backwards, don't go backwards. Come on. All right, I think, okay. Every time you hear that little click of something falling into place, that's me going backwards. God damn it. Dang it. Alright, thankfully, we are done. Okay, take it apart again. Set it up in the same way. This one stayed in a little differently. So again, we've got this rubber cover with the contacts for the buttons. The switch stayed in here. This is the switch for the left or right mirror control. Then we've got this button. This button right here pushes down for the mirrors to go in and out. And then here, these things just fell out, but this is where the controls for the switch buttons sit. Alright, so we'll just set these aside down here again. This one here. Take the circuit board out. Put that here. And we'll put that here. So what do we think? Looking at both of these, they're different. They both have the same amount of pins. They both have these two capacitors. The BMW one has an extra capacitor. Yeah, the layout is different. I'm not a pro in circuit boards. I only dabble. And, you know, I don't know enough to know how different they are. However, I do know that the one from BMW worked great until the button broke. And the aftermarket one has been giving us fits. So let's move forward then with the swap. For the swap, I'm going to use the case, the aftermarket case. I'm not going to use the circuit board. I'm not going to use the cover shield. I'm going to use the BMW factory circuit board. And I'm going to use the BMW shield with the contact points. So we don't need this anymore, and we don't need this anymore. And let's use the buttons, the button pushers from BMW. Okay, so let's figure this out here. I think the first thing to do is we're going to put the circuit board back into the bottom of this case here. And here's where the pins come through on the bottom, and that's where the switch in the interior, not the switch, that's where the connector in the door of the car connects into this piece. Alrighty, next we're going to put this piece on top here like it fits, and then we're going to put these little white switch things where they belong. And again, when you press on the switch here, it's actually, if you want to put the window down, you're pressing on this one, and if you want it to go up, you're pressing on this one. That's for the passenger side, and this is going to be for the driver's side. Okay, and then this part here is the switching from left to right when you want to adjust your mirror. And this button here is the one for opening and closing the mirrors, the fold-out mirrors. So turn this back over, you see here's the left, right, and here's the button. It's not going to move right now because it doesn't have anything to press on. Alright, so the last thing we need is the button. And I'm grabbing the button. This button was from the original BMW part, so I'm going to use it. I'm sorry, not the button, that's the slider for the left and right mirror adjustment. So now we've got this all set. Is this going to stay in here? Yes. Okay, so hopefully I can just set this onto here and get everything lined up, and it'll go together with one joyous set of clicks. Holding my breath. All right, we have a fail. What happened? Maybe we didn't. I don't like that, too much pressure. So let's take it back apart, which we love doing. So something was getting in the way. Okay, got the switch in here. Let's make sure you can put this in and it's not seated, so make sure it's seated, and if it's seated it'll allow you to move the switch back and forth. Double check that it doesn't fall out. Got all 4 Windows switches set up. Let's give it a shot again and see if we can't get this thing to close up. One of the most difficult lessons for me to learn is when not to press harder. All right, how did that sound? I don't know, hopefully it's okay. Okay, that works, that works, that works, that works. That doesn't work. That works. This doesn't work, dang it. Okay, let's take it apart again. This is the reality of working on cars. You take your car to the shop and it comes out a couple days later and everything works and you're happy, and you don't get to hear the history. But man, sometimes this stuff can be a real pain in the butt. So why is this thing not moving? Oh, it's not moving because somehow it got off of its track. Okay, third time's a charm? Maybe? Let's try one more time. Gonna lead in with the front of the switch. Hopefully all these things are lined up. Wow, that was pretty smooth. That went in. Everything's connected. And now one of the buttons isn't working. Okay, we got this working. This works. This works. But now the down button is not working. So we got to take it apart again. Can you imagine if it was your job to sit and put these things together all day? I think I would be looking for another job. I'm sure after a while you get the hang of it and all, but geez Louise, man. Well, in all fairness, we're doing something that you're really not supposed to do. You're supposed to install this switch as a whole, and when it breaks, you're supposed to replace it as a whole. But I can be cheap sometimes, and I'd rather not pay $150 for the new switch when I can pay $23 and spend some of my time working on it. All right, so this one has fallen out. Okay, everything is in place again. Let's check here. Okay, we lost the button for the slider switch. Put it in. Okay, that's in place. Let's try it on this side this time. Maybe that'd be better somehow. Okay, nothing fell out. Everything looks good. We're going to slowly lower it on straight. Kind of let the front go in first. Wow, all of that just clicked in at once. Okay, that one works. That one works. All right, finally, success. Who would have known that would have been such a trying thing to do? This is the part of the video where I should have reminded everyone to reinstall the screws that hold the plastic case together. These 4 plastic screws that I took out earlier. This is not the one that's in the car. This is the BMW original case. Anyways, when you put everything back together, don't forget to put the 4 screws back in to hold it together. It'll never fall apart without them. These plastic clips, which are such a big pain to get apart, will hold it in perpetuity. However, since we're belt and suspenders people, we're going to put the screws in too. All right, now we're back to where we started. So the last thing to do before we go install this into the car is to put this plastic cover back on. And I believe this is going to be a lot easier than taking it off. You just want to pop it into place. Okay, good to go. Let's head out to the car. Here we are back at the car, and we're going to plug this in. This only goes in one way, and that's the way it goes. So then you just flip this up, and we're just going to lay it in like that for now. I'm not going to put it in permanently until I know for sure that it works. So let's check it out. Let's take you guys out of here. We'll close the door. Put the key in, turn the power on, see what happens. All right, does the window go down? Yes. That's great news. Does the other window go down? Yes. Okay, more good news. Do the mirrors go in and out? Yes. And I think we might even have a bonus prize. That mirror on the passenger side was having problems. Instead of stopping there, it would continually try to move until it would eventually time out, and it would sit there and click and move. I hadn't earlier in my head realized that it could have been a function of this new window switch that I had put in earlier, but it seems to be the case because now that problem is gone. All right. And do the mirrors go up and down and left and right? Yes. Now this mirror I know doesn't go left and right. That's something besides the switch, but it goes up and down, which is the way it was before. So I think we have a good outcome here. All right, to permanently put the switch housing back into the door, we just want to slide this little tab in first, and then everything else just jams in there. And the last thing we need to do is reinstall the trim on the door. I'll back you guys up a little bit. And it just pops in. There we go.
literally, that's it. Mission complete.
Well, that was more exciting than Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I'm glad we're at the end of that saga. What did we learn? A couple of things. One, there are no shortcuts. Uh, I don't believe that buying cheap parts is always going to work, but sometimes it's worth the try. And two, using a little bit of thoughtfulness and ingenuity, uh, we were able to make lemonade out of lemons. Don't give up. There's always a way. Perseverance pays off in the end, as frustrating as it can be. I got thinking about this whole episode after finishing up the project, and I was wondering who sells $23 switches on Amazon. I did a little research, and making a circuit board like that in mass production might cost, let's say, $5 to $10, probably less, but let's just say $5 to $10. And the plastic body, well, for $23, that only leaves between $10 and $15 roughly to make the plastic body. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. I think you probably have to make a million of them to make economic sense. Now, granted, these came over from China, and they work on a different system. The parts might have been subsidized by the government. Who knows? But it sure was cheap, and it sure wasn't as expected or hoped for. So back to the question, who would be selling these? Another thought came to mind, which is maybe a production company was making them for BMW, and BMW received a lot of switches and put it through their quality control and determined that a number of the switches weren't working well and sent them back. And so then the company that manufactured them had a big load of switches that they couldn't use, and maybe they dumped them off to some other buyer at, let's call it, $1 a piece or $2 a piece. Well, then that buyer, who now had these $2 switches, can go on Amazon and sell them for $23 a piece. And that seller knows that some of them aren't going to work, but at $23 a pop, there's a lot of room for error in that number when compared to the $2 buying price. Now, that's all just speculation, but I really was wondering, how can somebody sell these things for $23? Anyway, mission accomplished for now. I'll be seeing you for the next one. All right, so long for now.